Start by signing into the AWS console. Enter your AWS login credentials into the boxes provided. After you are logged in, you will see an AWS Management Console screen similar to this one. We will begin by creating an EC2 instance. EC2 is a virtual server running on AWS. In the AWS Services search box, you should type EC2 and hit Return or Enter on the keyboard. You can also access it by clicking on the Services link on the upper left corner of the screen and selecting EC2 from the list of services. We now need to ask AWS to create a new EC2 instance. In the middle of the Resources screen, under Create Instance, click Launch Instance. AWS provides several different types of virtual servers depending on what operating systems you need. Depending on what you choose, you may have to pay for the operating system's license. For this lab, we will use the Amazon Linux AMI, located at the top of the screen. Note that it is free tier eligible. When you sign up for AWS, you are given 1 year of free tier eligible services. On the next screen, we will select the specific configuration for our Amazon Linux AMI. Click the Select button to select the Amazon Linux AMI. We are now presented with a list of available configurations for the Amazon Linux AMI. Note that only one configuration is eligible for the free tier, the T2 Micro. We will select this one. The T2 Micro provides one virtual CPU, 1 GB of RAM, and low to moderate network performance. This will work for what we are trying to do. The default setting is Review and Launch, but since we will configure this instance further, don't click on the Review and Launch button. Instead, click on the Next Configure Instance Details button. On the Configure Instance Details screen, change the default setting of number of instances to 2. We are doing this because we want to create 2 servers for this lab. We will set the 2 servers into an auto-scaling group. Note that on this screen and subsequent screens, you have the option to move your cursor over the letter I circles for more information on each field. Next to the Number of Instances text field, click on the Launch into Auto-Scaling Group button, and then click Create Launch Configuration in the pop-up window that appears. On the Create Launch Configuration screen, enter the following information: name, CCA02 Lab. We can skip the other fields for now. At the bottom right, click Skip to Review. On the review screen, you will see a warning about security groups and a default warning about making your instances open to any internet traffic. You do not need to change the security setting and should not change this setting for this course. We will learn more about these features in future CCA classes. Click Create Launch Configuration. To secure connections to EC2 instances, AWS requires the use of key pairs. In this next step, we will create a new key pair to connect to our instances. In the Select an Existing Key Pair or Create a New Key Pair box, select Create a New Key Pair. For the key pair name, enter CCA620-key. Click the Download Key Pair button. Here's something very important. Save the private key in a secure and accessible location on your computer. You will not be able to download it again from Amazon. You will need this key for future lab activities in CCA 620. Do not share this key file with anyone else, since it will permit that person to manage your Amazon instances. The key will now be downloaded and saved to your computer as CCA625-key.pem. You need to know where it is. Before you move on to the next step, verify that you have downloaded the host key file, saved it, and noted the location for later. The file is likely located in your download folder. Click on the Create Launch Configuration button. On the Create Auto Scaling Group screen, specify the following: group name, CCA 620-lab-scaling-group. Group size, 2 instances. Network, leave as the default. In the subnet section, click on the text box and a list of available subnets will be listed. Select one of the subnets available in your region. Under Advanced Details, leave the defaults. Click Next, Configure Scaling Policies. Here, AWS provides an opportunity to set your auto-scaling group to adjust its own size. We will keep it to 2 instances for this lab. On the Create Auto-Scaling Group screen, select Keep this group at its initial size. Click Review. We are presented with the review of our auto-scaling group configurations. Your screen should look similar to this, except possibly for the subnet information. In the bottom right, click Create Auto-Scaling Group. Once created, click on View Your Auto-Scaling Groups to look at them. Now, let's see the 2 EC2 instances that we have asked AWS to configure. Click on the Instances link on the left menu on the screen. Here, you will see 2 T2 micro instances that you have available. You may have other instances listed here if you didn't complete the cleanup steps in the previous course, CCA 610. Keep in mind that you may be assessed usage charges if you don't clean up your AWS services after you complete your lab and your work has been graded. In the next video, we will continue with the rest of the lab. If you are proceeding immediately with the next part of the lab, make sure to wait until your 2 EC2 instances are running before continuing.